Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Monday lunch on September 14th. We've got a great guest with us from the Association of Former Students. And before we get to him, we've got an update from our president, Bill Hill, class 84, 87.
84 is correct there, Logan, and thank you very much for that introduction. Hey, look, Ags, I'm here to report that the San Antonio A&M Club is as strong as ever. And, how can I say that amidst this COVID-19, we haven't met at Aggie Park or any of that stuff? Gee, just take a look at the golf tournament we did on September 10th, this last Thursday. Largest attendance and largest participation in the golf tournament in club history. Again, there's 18 holes on a course. We had 36 teams, over 140 golfers, and numerous volunteers that came out and made that thing a great first-class event. Mother Nature smiled on us. It had rained up to over 3 inches in the San Antonio area for Tuesday and Wednesday, but Thursday, it was still a bit cloudy, partly cloudy, but temperatures were in the upper 60s, lower 70s. Fantastic day. And I tell you what, I don't know about you, but if you participated in that tournament, it was just great seeing all the Ags again, all the friends. Last time one of my golf partners I saw, and I see him usually 3 or 4 times a year, but it was last year's golf tournament. And that's how difficult this has been. So anyway, hats off to everybody who participated as well as volunteered in the golf tournament. Hey, look, I've got some late breaking news. I want to get to it right off the bat, and that's Coaches Night. It's kind of a little bit at the last minute. You're going to see some more information this week coming out on Coaches Night, but it's this Thursday. And at this point in time, I actually don't have the exact time. And we just got told by the Association of Former Students, we're doing it in conjunction. It's a virtual Coaches Night with 3 other clubs. They've already decided on the date this Thursday. I think it's September 17th, and there'll be more to follow. So it'll be something similar to this where we have a Zoom meeting or something like that, more to follow. Again, Thursday night, Coaches Night. Let's make this the biggest Coaches Night we have in recent memory. Hey, I've mentioned to you before about Fiesta medals, but just to prove that we actually have Fiesta medals here, take a look at that beautiful Fiesta medal right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's honoring the Parsons Mounted Cavalry. And it's really a unique thing. It says on here, Fiesta 2020, San Antonio A&M Club. Logan, have you got one yourself?
Hey, I've got one right here, Bill. And the wagon wheel is turning.
Yeah, so that's my favorite part of that is the doggone wagon wheel. We actually have a wagon wheel that's separated from that, and it turns. So anyway, look, $10 each, collector's item. You can have them mailed to your house for a small fee. I think it's $5. Contact Aggie Park. You can go to aggiepark.com, or you can contact the executive director, or pop on in to Aggie Park and you can just pick one up. Quick update on the capital campaign. We're up to $1.1 million. We need $250,000 more from our club members. That will be matched by the Mays Family Foundation. That'll bring us up to the 1.6 in our capital campaign goal. And at that point in time, we can make a decision as to when we're going to renovate and expand Aggie Park. So we're getting close. You're going to see some things coming up in the near future, the next couple of weeks, where we're going to be being a little bit more deliberately asking for some capital campaigns. Now's the time where we've actually got this thing, we're in the red zone, and time to take this thing across the goal line here, so to speak. I hope you've enjoyed Aggie football. It's going to be a couple more weeks until we actually get to the Aggie football game, but other football games have started. So anyway, again, as I've always said, if you're in a position to pledge or to provide a donation, please do so. We're accepting pledges for 4 years. So if you want to be a $5,000 donor, just donate $1,000 now and then pledge $4,000 over the next 4 years. And I think that's doable for a lot of you folks, especially since the stock market is doing very, very well. Hey, look, I want to talk about the next coming event that we have. That's the Skeet Shoot on October 30th. It's at the San Antonio Gun Club. So that's just near downtown. It's really easy to get to. It's a handy little event that we have. Great barbecue, great time, and I tell you what, it's always good to see Aggie. So I hope to see you out there at the skeet shoot. Put it on your calendar, October 30th. I think it starts around noon, but the times are flexible so that you can schedule your team to shoot whenever you want to. Logan, you've been doing a great job on Monday lunch, and we're glad to have Clay Jackson here. But do you want to just kind of give a highlight who are some of the next speakers are that we have?
Sure. The following week, we're going to have Danny Pugh and with Vice President of Student Affairs. And then the following week, we're going to have Graham Weston with Weston Ventures here in San Antonio. So I've got a couple of good weeks coming up after this, and I'm hoping that after that we'll be meeting in person and not doing this virtual thing, but we'll see how that goes. We take it 15 minutes at a time, it seems like.
I tell you, I really thank you, Logan, for putting together this great lineup of speakers. Can't wait to hear Clay this afternoon. But you're right, man. We're targeting October, folks. We really are. We're targeting October. Yeah, people are learning how to deal with this virus, and I hope that we can make that happen. Anyway, that's my club update. Great job by all the members and all the volunteers. And I want to say a special thanks to the board members who keep slugging it out week after week and month after month to make this thing happen. Logan, I'm turning it over to you and Clay.
All right. Thanks, Bill. As Bill mentioned, today's guest is Clay Jackson, class of 2009, with a degree in sports management from Texas A&M. After Texas A&M, Clay worked for Action Baseball Club in Austin, coordinating showcase tournaments for high school players. He then transitioned into professional baseball, working for the Bakersfield Blaze, Los Angeles Angels. He jumped back into academics, grabbing a master's degree from Gonzaga in sport and athletic administration. And after that, he's also served as director of food and beverage for the High Desert Mavericks, which is a high A affiliate with the Texas Rangers. Clay, welcome to our virtual Monday lunch. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Howdy, y'all. I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on. It's kind of exciting to be here.
Well, first of all, we appreciate all the association does for our club, and I think Ben Johnson was out at our golf tournament this last week. And
correct. I was supposed to join him, but I couldn't make it. Unfortunately, I had meetings most of the day. He kind of invited me last minute. Said it was a great turnout, and you guys did a great job putting the event on. So it was great hearing that from Bill that the golf tournament was so successful.
Yeah, we had 144 Aggies out there. Well, I wouldn't say they were all Aggies. I saw a couple of other teams that came out to try to win our Aggie tournament, but it was great turnout and really good for the club, and just good to get together and hang out and raise money for our club.
Awesome.
So, Clay, I've got to ask, you're originally from Southern California, and but you've got some strong family ties to Texas A&M. And after school, it seems like you went back out that direction, worked a couple of jobs, went to school again out there. What is it that brought you back to Texas A&M and to work for the Association of Former Students?
Yeah, I think the opportunity to give back and work with the Aggie Network, you hear about it so much when you're a student, and you see it in action as a former student. I was at a point in my career where it was kind of working a ton of hours in minor league baseball. I have a young family, so this was a chance to get back to, I still have some extended family here in Texas. So it's a chance to get back around some other family, get back involved with Texas A&M, and kind of have that more traditional 9-to-5 than what you have working in either any sports, really, professional sports, collegiate sports, anything like that. So it was a great opportunity to get back here. I think I've always dreamed of raising a family in College Station and living out that dream now. So,
well, hey, that's great. I think a lot of us would love to live in College Station and be as close to A&M as possible. It's definitely a fun place. So you're listed as a coordinator of former student programs, and with you're mentioned under a couple of the programs, which is Constituent Networks and then Young Aggie Alumni. Can you kind of tell us what your roles are and what your involvement is with that?
Yeah, so I'm the main kind of coordinator overseeing the association's engagement of young alumni, which is the last 10 graduating classes. So for this year, it's 2010, so the class of 2020 that have just graduated. So we know that that's a kind of a key demographic, and we engage them differently than what we do for the classes in the 60s and 70s, and even before that. So we try to kind of gear those things more towards networking events, happy hours, just ways to be more thoughtful of how we are engaging them. So I handle our class agents, our Young Alumni Advisory Council. That's kind of the majority of the Young Alumni side of things. I put on Young Alumni Weekend, which is the official reunion for the last 10 graduating classes. We usually put that on in the fall. Unfortunately, this year we're pushing that to the spring. So we're going to do a spring Young Alumni Weekend. So as we can kind of finalize details, be on the lookout for that. It's a great time. We usually have about 1,000, 1,200 Aggies come back and tailgate before a football game in the fall. Like I said, we invite everyone from the class of 2010 to 2020 to that event. But with COVID and university restrictions, we decided to kind of punt that to the spring. And then constituent networks, I oversee, 5 constituent networks, and they're kind of more interest-based and affinity-based versus geographically based, like a A&M club. So like Aggie Women, Hispanic Former Student Network, Black Former Student Network, the Texas Aggie Bar Association, and the Aggie Real Estate Network. Those are the main 5 that I oversee, but I have a hand in the other now 12 total constituent networks that we have. So we kind of deal with them much like we do our A&M clubs. They just don't meet geographically. They usually kind of have one big conference that they put on that invites everyone back, and that's more towards kind of continuing that networking, building that Aggie spirit, and then in some of those cases doing kind of continuing education for the legal side of things or the real estate side of things.
So do those constituent networks have the annual meeting in College Station, or is it throughout the U.S.?
So it just depends by each constituent network. So the Texas Aggie Bar Association does theirs in College Station every year. They used to do it at the MSC, and now they've done it. This last year was the first year in February that they did it at the new A&M hotel. So, and the other ones kind of usually rotate every other year, either being in College Station or around the state and one of the bigger, metropolitan areas. So.
You mentioned the Young Aggie Advisory Council. We've got a lot of good young Ags in Bexar County. What are you guys looking for, and where can people get more information on that?
For sure. So we kind of have 3 main committees that make up the Young Alumni Advisory Council. So it's the Marketing Communications Committee, the Engagement and Student Transition Committee, and then the A&M Clubs Committee. So the Marketing Communications kind of help us gear our marketing communication efforts at the association towards young alumni, keeping sure that scope is always thought of when we're sending out emails, posting on social media. We have some young alumni specific social media accounts, and that's thanks to the Young Alumni Advisory Council. The Engagement and Student Transition Committee is, again, coming up with new ways for us to engage people. So they helped us come up with Young Alumni Weekend. We didn't have that before the creation of this council. The 12 Under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight, a few other things as well. And then the student transition piece. We know that, a lot of people are moving from College Station to San Antonio, Houston, Austin, Dallas, may not be from those areas. And so how can we help them transition from being a current student to a former student as easily as possible? And then the A&M Clubs Committee is there to help A&M clubs like yourself kind of come up with events, ideas, programs to better engage young alumni in your area. Not every club is fortunate to have the Young Aggies of San Antonio Facebook group that you guys do. I'm a member on there, and it's a very active and awesome group that plans a lot of things. I've helped them put on Guadalupe the last, 3 years. This year didn't happen, unfortunately, but that's definitely one of my favorite events that I'm involved with, and so that's near and dear to my heart for the San Antonio A&M Club. So those guys are awesome, but there's clubs out there that struggle with engaging young alumni. So that is what that kind of portion of the council is for. You can find more information about that at aggienetwork.com. Let's see. we just closed applications, unfortunately. So we are kind of reviewing applications for new members right now. It's usually members serve a 2-year term. And so be looking for more. That position will open back up in the spring. We'll be looking at applications again. So if you're interested, again, aggienetwork.com. That's where you can find all the stuff about the Young Alumni Advisory Council. We have a good history of San Antonio members being involved as well. So
we've got a great young Aggie alumni group. Justin Scantlin right now is heading up that group. He does a great job for us. But I would say it's probably one of the things we try to focus on as a club, and I'm sure most clubs do, is getting young Aggies involved right out of school. It's a tough thing to do. There's a lot on your mind when you're 23 years old, 22 years old, right when you get out of school, other than where can I go to hang out with some other Aggies that came. So it's always a challenge. So what are some of the things that y'all are doing or looking into doing to keep that engagement, keep the Aggies, coming back and supporting the school?
For sure. So we know kind of right now with the economy and the job market the way it is, we know a lot of those class of 20 graduates either had jobs lined up and hopefully not too many in the San Antonio area, lost those jobs or internships. But we know that is a factor right now. So we're working with the Career Center to try to put on some virtual things for those people that have been impacted by, this whole pandemic. A lot of people don't realize that the Career Center is available for former students as well. There's a whole wing of the Career Center that's just focused on former student services. So working with Paul Posky, trying to, again, finalize and formalize some stuff in the fall to replace some of those things that we've been missing out on to help those Aggies that are impacted either, start a new career or find something just to, hold them over until, the job market bounces back. We're looking at doing some trivia nights and stuff like that while, like on the weekend that we were going to do Young Alumni Weekend, which is November 13th to 14th. So that's kind of the plan, is to do some class trivia nights and hopefully get some good swag items and prizes out for classmates and things like that. But one thing we're working on.
Is that a virtual?
Yeah, we'll do a virtual trivia night. We've done it for some incoming freshmen. We did a trivia night that was more like Aggie Network focused and A&M focused for them to kind of learn about the university. I think we'll probably try to make it more relevant for young alumni and recent graduates to, do some more pop cultural references, sports references, things like that, for them to win prizes. I'm sure we'll sprinkle in some Aggie Network trivia, of course.
Are you going to have it? Are you going to have it flighted based on your on degrees? I can't speak for all of the same majors, the people that had the same major as me, but I know that the engineers were on a little bit different level than where I was down in ag economics. It'd be tough to compete with those guys. For
sure. I think again, we'll try to keep the topics relevant for everybody, so it's not necessarily like, we'll say like a Star Wars trivia night where I go to those and I'm like, I know some Star Wars stuff, but like people that are crazy about Star Wars, I'm like, God, I have no clue what that answer is. So we'll try to keep it, fun, relevant to where everyone's engaged and can kind of stay involved and connected. Another thing we're working on behind the scenes is kind of a social media spotlight for young Aggies that are just doing cool things out in the real world. So we have the 12 Under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight Award, which highlights 12 recipients every year. And that's kind of like our top tier Young Alumni Award. This is more like, hey, you're doing cool things right now, and we just want to share that. So we're planning on kind of posting pictures and a kind of little bio or, a quick interview of what they're up to, what's going on in their world since they've left A&M. So we're working on that behind the scenes, trying to get that up and running. Got to get through kind of the branding and marketing side of things first. But once we get that kind of spotlight up, we'll be doing that every couple weeks, every month, something like that, just to show off some young Aggies that are doing cool things. We know that there's tons of young alumni out in the world making an impact, and we just want to spotlight them, however we can. So
that's great to highlight those young Aggies that are, there's so many graduates coming out this year and doing so many cool things.
Yeah.
Well, that you've talked a lot about what you do in College Station. I think I met you outside of College Station at some of the away games. So what are some of the things you guys provide for Aggies when they're traveling to away events and talk about your involvement with that and traveling around.
For sure. So the Association of Former Students puts on an away game tailgate called the All Aggie Tailgate before every football game on the road. So we usually do a Friday night kind of Aggie headquarters at a local bar wherever the game's being played at, and we'll put on midnight yell as well. So we help get the yell leaders, traveled out there and everything. So, and then Saturday before the game, we usually put on a 3-hour kind of all-inclusive tailgate. That's unfortunately not happening this year with COVID stuff. That was kind of deemed that since we knew not a lot of Aggies were going to be able to get away game tickets, that it wasn't the best use of our resources, to do that this fall. But historically, we've gone and to every away game, every bowl game, and put on a big tailgate and everything like that. So that's, I think, where I've met Logan the first few times was in, Alabama, I think Clemson. I ran into that. It's been a few years of me doing this now, and it's a ton of fun. You get to meet great Aggies all across the country. It's great to see Aggies that travel from Texas to Georgia, to South Carolina, to Alabama, and you start to see some familiar faces when you're working those tailgates and working at those happy hours and stuff. So we appreciate all the local club support, because we can't put those on without the club volunteers cooking up the sausage, putting out fresh napkins and plates and snacks and drinks and stuff like that. So it's a great service that the association puts on, and we hope everyone can take advantage of it starting in 2021 again.
Y'all have some pretty wild road trips. Can you talk about when do y'all leave? Or let's say, were you at Georgia? Did you go to Athens?
I didn't go to Georgia for that trip. I went and did a couple site visits on the way to the Clemson tailgate. I was at the Clemson tailgate, so I missed the Georgia one. But so our typical kind of, we'll say, schedule for that is, if it's a SEC kind of East game or anything on the further east, we usually leave Thursday morning, because we're pulling the Gig 'em rig, which is our big branded trailer that brings all of our supplies and everything we need for the tailgate. So we usually leave Thursday morning at the crack of dawn, travel as far east as we can, because we can only drive so fast with that big old trailer behind us. Get a decent night's sleep, get up, travel to where we need to get to next. Then try to get a little afternoon nap, and then start getting ready for our Aggie headquarters and yell practice. So for Clemson, for example, we left super early Thursday, drove to Atlanta, got in at who knows what time in the morning, got a couple hours sleep, got up, went to Athens, toured the campus a little bit to try to figure out where would be a good spot. Their tailgating scene was a little different than what we're used to in terms of, there's no reservable spots. Everything's kind of land grab. I think it's Friday morning or the day of the game.
You said Athens, but you mean at Clemson?
No. We stopped in Athens for the Georgia game later in the year, because we couldn't historically or traditionally we book our sites or reserve our sites 6 months in advance until we have all that stuff planned out. But in Athens, they wouldn't let us reserve anything. We couldn't lock down the tailgate location. So we were trying to figure out some spots that would work. And because like I said, historically they only let you land grab for their tailgates. I think it's Friday morning, but they have no reserved tailgating. So we were trying to figure out around town, there were some businesses or anything like that. So then, but Clemson, we already had our spot dialed in. So then we drove up to South Carolina that same day. There's a local pizza shop that we knew the owners through the A&M club there, that we basically took over their whole business, their parking lot, had a bunch of tents and tables and everything outside. And then about 10:45 or so, head over to the high school that we were there doing midnight yell, and started setting up everything for yell practice. And then go to bed shortly after yell practice and get back up for I think that was an early tailgate. So we're hitting the road again bright and early to set up. It takes a couple hours or hour or so to set up a tailgate, so we got to get there well before you guys as attendees. So it's a long weekend, and then we head back shortly after the game, and again we'll break it up into a couple days, and then we'll go from there. So if it's something like to Dallas Fort Worth for the Arkansas game, that's a quick we just drive up Friday morning, get Aggie headquarters ready and yell practice ready, and then have our tailgate stuff ready to go for Saturday morning, and then we drive back home after the game on Saturday. So
When did you start traveling with to the away games?
so I started traveling in the fall of 2017. That was my first football season. I didn't get to go to the UCLA game. I helped plan the UCLA tailgate. We had some staff transition early in 2017, and so there wasn't a ton planned. And so when we all kind of got on board at the same time, that was one of our main focuses. And so I helped them kind of strategically and operationally plan out that tailgate. But I didn't get to go to that game, unfortunately. I went to the Arkansas game, and I'm trying to think what other. I went to 2 games. I go to like 2 games every year.
Did you go to Florida?
I did not get to go to Florida. No, that was an interesting tailgate. We had a lot of stories after that. We used to have an old Gig'em rig that had a TV on the side, and it rained so much while it was there that the wood like corroded, and basically the TV fell in the middle of the tailgate on the way home. So.
Oh man. What's your favorite away venue that you've gotten to go to?
Man, that's tough. I think Alabama probably. It's a really beautiful campus. Everything kind of flows together and makes sense. Except for their stadium numbering. Like when you're inside the stadium, like what you would think is like double N, you think that would be higher up than N, and N is like lower to the field, or double N's lower to the field, but N's like the top row. So, but beautiful campus, beautiful stadium. Fans are they're fans. So, but it was a great time. I mean, when we went, let's see, I guess it was 2 years ago now, in 2018. We got there midway through the game, unfortunately, and it was kind of already a beat down at that point. But it was still a ton of fun, and their fans before the game were super hospitable to us and everything like that. And their staff's great. We do a lot of collaborating with all the SEC alumni associations, so we know a lot of the alumni staff when we go to away games. So
are they always asking y'all a bunch of questions? We've got an awesome alumni association, and are they always reaching out to you guys and saying, hey, what do y'all do, and how do y'all do it? How do y'all how do y'all travel so well?
For sure. Yeah, we try to be the premier alumni association in the country. That's kind of our vision statement at the association, and we definitely live up to that. We have calls all the time. I get calls once a month that I'm on talking about the Young Alumni Advisory Council and how we set that up and how we organize those things. People are always asking us about the Aggie Ring program. I mean, we are the gold standard when it comes to ring programs in the country. We are very proud of our Aggie rings. I think everyone that wears their ring is very proud. And then just how we put on our club events and coaches nights and all that. So we field questions all the time. I was on a Zoom call about 2 weeks ago from with the new volunteer kind of board chair for North Georgia, something like that. They're interested in doing a Young Alumni Advisory Council, and so myself and my boss Josh Ryan Bolt were on a Zoom call for about an hour, kind of answering questions that they have about how to set that up. I know Benjamin and Caitlin, our clubs coordinators, they deal with all the alumni associations across the SEC and across the country, calling us and asking us, like, how do you have so many A&M clubs? How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them, rowing the boats in the right direction to help the university? And we tell them it's not just us as a staff. Like, we have a large staff and we work hard, but it's you guys, it's the volunteers at the clubs, it's our class agents, it's our constituent network presidents that help us make these things possible. It's our ring day volunteers. When we tell people about ring day, how we have 40-something thousand people come in and out of our building over a day and a half, and we tell them we have a staff of 70 to 100 based on a given time. And so it's like, how's that even possible? But we have hundreds and hundreds of ring day volunteers that help put those events on. So it's not just our staff, but it's our volunteers. It's Texas Aggies that make the association so strong in what it is.
Well, how's ring day looking for this year, for this semester, I mean, with the COVID?
So they're not doing a traditional ring day. We're doing a ring delivery week. And so September 21st, I believe is that Monday. So I think it's from a week from today. We'll be kind of doing it all week long, Monday through Friday, from 7:30 to 5:30, except for Friday. We're cutting the ring times a little early that day, but so I don't know the exact details on how they're letting people in. I think it's just one person, but families are welcome to kind of come to the building, but not actually into our building, because we're at limited capacity, like actually into the building. So it's going to be a little different this year in terms of ring day. You know, it's going to be ring week, but we have every intentions of getting back to a normal ring day experience, because we know that's such a highlight of students' experiences now on campus.
It's always very special to receive your Aggie ring. I know, it's something I always will remember, and I think most people will. It's a special day. So glad y'all are finding a way to continue getting the rings to the Aggies, while we're going through this craziness of the COVID.
Okay.
Do you guys travel to any other events other than football games? Do y'all provide the same to any baseball, basketball, volleyball?
So we went to, let's see, when we made the College World Series in 2018, 2017. When we made it in 2017, we went and did kind of an all-Aggie tailgate there in Omaha as well. So we partnered with the I think it's Greater Omaha A&M Club is their name, and we partnered with them and put on a couple of days of tailgates, stuff like that. So we had some staff members up there putting that event on. So it was, with something like that, you just never know if you're going to make, the College World Series, because you literally find out like Saturday, and then it's, oh, hey, we're playing, like the next week. When we made it to the Sweet 16 in basketball, we went out to LA and put on a kind of a game watching party and pregame kind of happy hour out there. And then the club's coordinator at the time, Ryan Bugatti, he actually put that event on, went to the game, and then basically took a red eye and went to Spokane, because the women's team was playing in their Sweet 16 matchup in Spokane like the next day or 2 days later. So he flew up there, put on a game watching party and tailgate before the game with that A&M club up there. So it was it's definitely something that we do. It's just when we don't necessarily know ahead of time, like we do with the away football games, and we know that schedule about a year in advance.
So if Aggies are thinking about traveling to some away games, I know we can't, obviously this year's a little different, but in the future, where can people go to get the information from you guys on where the best places to go are, where the Midnight Yell is going to be, how can everyone stay involved?
For sure. That's all again on AggieNetwork.com. We have a short URL, which I believe is tx.ag/away games or away game tailgates. And that's usually where we have all the information updated on what's going to happen for where our Aggie headquarters are going to be at Friday nights, where Yale practice is going to be Friday, and then where our tailgate location will be Saturday before the game. So we usually keep that as up to date as possible. We also stay connected with our Facebook and Instagram channels. We usually broadcast Midnight Yell live on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. We got staff members that are got their phones out and are filming the Yell leaders doing their thing, and then trying to get the crowd involved and everything like that as well. So if you can't go in person, you can still check out the away game tailgates or the away game Midnight Yells by following the Association of Former Students Facebook and Instagram accounts.
Well, it's kind of exciting that football has started. It's not, I mean, I say kind of because A&M hasn't played yet.
Yes.
But how's everything looking for the first game on the 26th against Vanderbilt?
So, I mean, we're still kind of waiting to hear from the university if tailgating is allowed. So, historically we've had a home all Aggie tailgate where we have our building open for all Aggies or anybody that's on campus that wants to come through. But we're still kind of waiting for guidance from the university on what we're allowed to do pre-game wise there. So we don't have any of those details finalized yet, just because we haven't heard from the university. That may change by the time this comes out, because I'm hoping that we'll get some updates from the university in the coming days. But right now we don't know what our home away game tailgates, or our home game tailgates are going to look like. Just because we don't know what the university's allowing. We've had to push most of our reunions and events that we usually hold in the fall to the spring, because of crowd size limits and stuff like that the university's put in place. But we haven't heard a ton about tailgating yet. So once we have that information, I'm sure we'll put out some posts and make the Aggie Network aware of what services we'll be offering before any of our home football games.
Well, we look forward to our virtual coaches night. I know it's kind of all coming together quickly at the end, but just excited to have some kind of a virtual, any kind of a coaches night. So we're excited about that. We're very thankful for all that the association does for the club and everything you guys do for Aggies traveling. So we appreciate that. And Clay, thanks for joining us for our virtual Monday lunch. And
absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Billy, you got anything for Clay?
Well, Clay, hey, thanks for that great update. And I wanted to put a plug in for your alumni association and all the great work that Paul does. So I'll tell you, I spent 30 years in the military, and the military has a great transition program out of the military to get jobs. But I found a couple of my peers, retired colonels, were using the Association of Former Students Alumni Center to work resumes, to work connections, and pass that out. Paul did a great job for me, and I'd like to say that I got hired on the first job I applied to. So something worked, and that service is not just for brand new graduates. That's my point, that you can be a graduate from 10, 15, 20 years, you're transitioning to a new way of life. Contact the Association of Former Students, the Alumni Center, and they can help you with connections and a resume and just someone to talk to. So I used it. It's a great service.
That's awesome. We love hearing that side of things, because I tell people all the time that the Career Center is there for them, not just as a current student, but throughout their time as a former student and starting their career and changing careers at any point. So it's great to hear a real success story right here. Thanks, Bill.
All right, guys. Well, that just about wraps it up for this week, and we'll see y'all next week with Vice President of Student Affairs Danny Pugh. And Clay, once again, thank you very much for joining us on this virtual Monday lunch.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks and gigging, guys.
All right, take care.